Marcus Peters being suspended by his team, the Chiefs, for conduct detrimental. Peter King joining us here on the show. How are you, Peter?
Everything's good, Rich. You?
I'm hanging in there, thank you. So what do you make of the Chiefs news that a team that once upon a time 5-0, having lost 6 of 7, big game against the Raiders, who could wind up sweeping a series from them this year, sitting Marcus Peters themselves?
I applaud Andy Reid. Basically, I think one of the problems is that the Chiefs, in losing 6 out of 7, Rich, have not only not played great, they've lost their poise several times, including very, very badly at the end of the game against the Jets. It isn't just that the defense fell apart and gave up 38 points to Josh McCown. It's that they melted down in the process. And so Andy Reid is saying, I don't care how valuable you are to this team, you're probably our best defensive player, but you're not playing until you learn how to channel your emotion. I think Andy Reid needs to get a hold of his team. They lost their poise in this game against the Jets, and I applaud his move, no matter how valuable Marcus Peters is to his team.
All right. Now, what do you think of Iloka having his penalty, his suspension overturned by Derek Brooks?
As long as Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't have his overturned, I'm okay with it. I mean, Iloka's that was a brutal hit. It was a terrible hit. But to me, the Smith-Schuster thing is worse because it's worse for the game. To be standing over a guy taunting him while a teammate of yours is in the hospital, you have no idea if he's ever going to walk again. I just think was the height of idiocy. And Iloka was a football play that was way, way over the top. But, if that gets overturned, I kind of understand it. But I would not understand if Smith-Schuster got overturned.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Iloka one was so nasty. And at the end of a nasty game where you could say the same thing is that somebody got carted off earlier in the day, and it's not just a teammate, it's a brother in football arms here. For him to go top rope on Antonio Brown like that and crush his head with his helmet, that, I don't know. It just seems to me that maybe everybody's suspension should have been upheld, Peter.
I would not have minded if Iloka was suspended, Rich. I think it would have been justifiable. And obviously, John Runyon and the league thought that it was. I guess my whole point is that there are plays like that. I'm not saying in every game, but there are plays similar to that most weekends in the NFL. And, again, a suspension, I think, and again, that's a borderline one, Iloka. A suspension, and I'm okay with it because of what the NFL is trying to emphasize now. But my hesitance is that I don't want suspensions. I mean, to become really, really commonplace. Because I think it is really serious. And normally, the NFL suspended 3 people in one weekend. And it used to be the NFL would give out heavy fines. And I think what the NFL is basically saying now is that the fines don't work. they don't work. And Gronkowski certainly deserved it. If he'd been given more than one game, I'd been upset. But, the Iloka thing, I think if you suspend that play, I'm saying that you could probably find a play in 17 weekends of NFL football, like every weekend, where you'd suspend somebody. That's why I think it's a slippery slope.
And then I guess the last one on this subject is that, how could Gronkowski, what he did, be equated to what Juju Smith-Schuster did, and the fine system and the penalty and the suspension system? Are the league out of moves here, though, Peter, in terms of trying to prevent these things from happening? I don't
know. I support suspensions, particularly in egregious things the way Gronkowski and Smith-Schuster, to me, absolutely, certainly deserved it, I think, in both cases. because I think we've gotten to the point now, Rich, where it's been proven time and again. You look at the Bengals and the Steelers. There is no deterrent factor when you find somebody that totally out of line. And I mean, you know what I'd do if I were Roger Goodell? Okay, so they're done for this year, the Bengals and Steelers. If I were Roger Goodell, he usually goes to the scouting combine. Obviously, he sees them at the league meetings. I would get Mike Tomlin and Marvin Lewis, and I would just say to them, I don't like what in the games between your teams. And we've tried fines, we've tried suspensions. The next thing that we're going to do is going to suspend a coach if this stuff continues. That's how I would handle it. I do not accept the Ben Roethlisberger, this is AFC North football. That's, if we justify the kind of behavior we saw Monday night as well, hey, that's just AFC North football, then the AFC North ought to secede from the union.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. The question is Marvin Lewis going to be around to have that conversation? Mike Brown is very comfortable with Marvin Lewis because he handles all the problem children that he puts in his locker room. And, that's the way they like to operate. I mean, look, if Marvin Lewis hasn't been fired by now, I don't know what he's going to do this year that's going to make him fireable. I'm not saying he won't be. Right. But, they haven't won a playoff game in 100 years, and the guy keeps coaching. So, maybe he'll be gone, but I don't really think he will be because Mike Brown has a comfort with Marvin Lewis. So who's coaching for their jobs in the final 4 weeks, you think, Peter? Chuck Pagano, John Fox for sure. I can't see Pagano coming back. I think it's probably unlikely that Fox comes back. I don't know. I'm probably being here. I think Jason is going to return unless Jerry Jones falls in love with somebody like John Gruden in the next month or so. Again, I think there'll be a couple of interesting places to watch. Okay, let's look at Tampa Bay. Okay, Greg Schiano, 2012, 2013, 2 years, fired. Lovie Smith, 2014, 2015, fired. Dirk Cutter, 2016, 2017, underachieving. Dare the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again get rid of a coach after 2 years? I think it'd be a big mistake, but you got to watch that just based on history. I think you also have to watch the Detroit Lions. I mean, how are the Detroit Lions one game under 500 since opening day 2015? Rich, explain that. I mean, every year I hear that, oh, my God, Matthew Stafford, top 5 quarterback, and finally they fixed the defense. They've done this. It's the same broken record story every year with the Detroit Lions. So at some point, is Jim Caldwell going to be called on the carpet for that? We'll see. I think Jay Gruden is back in Washington, most likely. You got to watch Bruce Arians, either by his choice. It sounds like he definitely wants to return for one more year. I don't see any changes being made in the AFC East. I don't know. I think that's about it for now. I think the AFC West is probably safe, even though I think Vance Joseph, people are saying, what the heck happened there? I'd be surprised if John Elway pulled the trigger after 1 year. So last one for you. Read the tea leaves for me on the Giants job. Who do you think is going to wind up with that? Well, they're going to pick a general manager first. I mean, look, the logic says Ernie Accorsi, who's helping John Mara on this, right, absolutely loves and admires Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman's on the street. They could hire him tomorrow. And so, I mean, if you're asking me a leader in the clubhouse, I think both Gettleman and John Dorsey are very interesting candidates because the Giants would have a comfort zone with people who, A, they know, and B, they have great respect for. And there are people in the Giants organization with great respect for John Dorsey, the football man. So if one of those two guys gets it, that gives the Giants a head start. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I think
John Mara is absolutely wide open on what he would do. And then as far as a coach, I think you round up the usual suspects. Would not be surprised if they were aggressive on Josh McDaniels. But again, I just think it's way too early to know because they don't know that the general manager is going to be.
Mm-hmm. And I've been pounding the table for David Shaw. I think he's the man.
Well, Rich, I'd hire David Shaw yesterday. There's no question about it. But I go back to, I've talked to David Shaw about this twice in the last 2 years, and he had a great line to me. He said, I love where I am. I have a better job than any coach in the NFL, number one. And number two, anybody wants to get me out of here, the first thing they're going to have to do is convince my wife that their city is better than Palo Alto. And he goes, that's going to be hard.
I guess the last one for you. Do you have anything on Shazier? Are you hearing anything on Ryan as you're on the train and I'm sitting out here?
Am I hearing anything on what, Rich?
Ryan Shazier.
No, I have not heard it. I have not heard a thing. I'm concerned. Obviously, everybody would be concerned, but I'm sorry to say I have not heard anything.
All right, Peter. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. We'll chat soon.
Okay, Rich.
Always appreciate it. At @SI_Peter King.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.